What line of business is generally more corrupt than people realize? Academic publishing. It's not necessarily corruption, but it's a really FK'd up system. Basically researchers do all the work. Then they send their papers for publication. Other researchers review their articles for free. And when the article is accepted, the publisher asks for $40 from each reader to read one article. And 100% of the money goes back to the publisher. The researchers who wrote the paper do not get 1 cent. It's one of the most profitable industries out there, despite being completely predatory. The thing is, researchers need to publish in specific journals to get tenure or to get funded. And so they are always trying to publish in the top rated journals instead of publishing in open science venues. Mortuary services. You do not need to be embalmed. You do not need an expensive casket. And they are overcharging you for everything. It's a disgusting extortion racket no one does anything about. Towing. Companies who tow cars are shady as absolute fuck. I had my car towed from the scene of an accident, and I couldn't get an insurance estimate for 4 days because the tow company claimed they didn't have it. Then they charged the insurance company for 4 days of storage after I went to their lot myself and took pictures of my car sitting there. Education. Specifically the companies that publish textbooks as well as College Board. The company that has a monopoly on standardized tests in the US. Autism Speaks. Fuck Autism Speaks. Yelp/Better Business Bureau. Basically it is a shakedown to remove poor reviews. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. A lot of non-profit charities are super sketchy the further you look into them. Susan G. Komen and the other disease awareness charities. Most of the money donated does not reach the scientists and doctors actually researching cures and treatments. Textbooks. Metals. Every part of it. From mining to manufacturing/refining to scrapping has the mob involved at least a little, but mostly scrapping and mining. Edit. Because of questions. I'm in Oregon, but have done work with various companies all over the continental USA, and a touch in Russia and China. The worst for this is the Northeast USA and Russia. The Russians were the only ones I was outright afraid of though, because they were the only ones to outright threaten us if we didn't pay on time, before we even bought anything. In my country, police are some of the most corrupt government servants. They need to pass a very competitive exam to even be considered for the job. They need to pay bribes to the police recruitment board to get into the force. After passing the exam, they need to pay bribes to the placement board after training and compulsory rural service to get a posting to an area of their choice. They need to keep ministers, politicians, local gangs protected to keep earning extra money. After this, they expect you to pay at least $100 for every time they stop you in traffic. They are arrogant AF. They have to work 12 hours a day and will take out their frustration on any common man who tries to get help from them. They will normally list stolen mobiles as lost so that they do not have to investigate and the crime stats remain in check. They normally, but reluctantly, help anyone who is well connected or can pay them something extra to do their job. They do not care about the common man and believe that the laws exist only so that they can extort more money from the tax-paying citizens. Their motto is to wring the last buck out of the common man, terrorize the population, help only the rich and powerful, while not paying heed to the citizens' call for help. They are the Indian police. I believe most of the above rant will apply to many other country/states' police. For-profit universities, University of Phoenix, DVRY, etc. Close bracket. I feel like only 5% of crypto-related businesses are ever actually legit. Like, people know there's a lot of sketchiness in that industry. I've just seen so many invest craploads in it anyway and wind up massively screwed. E.g., Mount, Gox, Quadriga, etc. Close bracket. Then they have basically zero recourse because crypto is decentralized and therefore incredibly difficult to trace for law enforcement. In Vietnam, being a school teacher is very prestigious and often very corrupt. I can't speak for the whole country, but in the north, people bribe to get the positions, sometimes more than a year's salary in advance. The pay is actually crap, a couple $100 a month, at best. But in public schools, you can extort all kinds of perks, gifts and money on Teachers' Day and Women's Day, for example. But the real money maker is after school tutoring. A public school teacher in Hanoi will have between 40 to 60 kids in a class. I've even heard of classes as large as 70 kids. Many teachers will intentionally teach the absolute bare minimum during school, knowing that they are setting the kids up to fail. They then graciously offer to teach supplementary lessons after school for a mere 50,000 dang around per student per hour. If 15 kids participate, the teacher can earn close to a month's salary in around 7 hours. They might charge more for older students. This is referring to elementary school. Kids end up finishing their academic pursuits at like 8 or 10 at night sometimes. Meanwhile, so that the teacher doesn't have a high fail rate, she encourages talented students to let others cheat off their exams. On the opposite foot, casinos are generally much less corrupt than you would think. There is so much regulation and the threat of losing a license is a big deal. Jewelry. There's a reason as to why the big four audit firms shy away from auditing SME jewelry shops, as most are family-run shops with unknown sources of money, improper stock records, and no formal books. Garbage/trash hauling. Landfills and recycling locations, especially small shops in rural areas. They'll mix recycling in with the regular garbage rather than process correctly. They'll skimp on the lining thickness required for a new hill. They can be a cash business that's impossible to record. So folks at the front desk will pocket the dump fees for folks who come in. Crazy stuff. It helped from chain companies. Pretty much just Best Buy at this point, but they gouge on their services, or at least did several years ago when I last looked. They'll charge you, not only do they overcharge for their services, but usually will go over the estimated time for the repair. The reason for them taking so long is that there is usually only one person in the Geek Squad who can actually do repairs, and all the other people are more or less cashiers with maybe some minor troubleshooting experience. This is also why they send so many things out for repairs instead of doing them in store. You should just take it to a local computer repair shop instead. They will probably do it for half the price and half the time, and will probably give you some recommendations on how to prevent thieving issues in the future. Mega churches in the US. These guys are stealing money hand over fist through the use of flashy sermons and trumped up versions of how the Bible actually works. Not to mention the fact that most of the donations they receive help the people that own the church pay for private jets and mansions. Even if there's a catastrophe in their neighborhood, they can't be bothered to send some money their way. After that last tornado in Missouri, a local mega church didn't donate a dime. Meanwhile, a local casino donated a large sum of money to the victims. Minecraft villager trades 15 carrots for 6 emeralds. That is not the law of equivalent exchange. Ticketmaster and service fees. I didn't scroll all the way through to see if someone has mentioned this yet. Pink ribbon breast cancer charities. Look at how well and where it's marketed. It's huge. No cure. And when my wife had breast cancer, they helped Mill. I'm sure the CEO and higher ups are making good money. It's business in disguise. Pest control. You can buy almost every single thing we use yourself online without a license. For the price you pay for one service, you can get enough stuff to do it yourself for years. Also, almost all major companies now will spray the outside only if you aren't there, because we're required to complete a certain number of jobs a day. So if you never confirm the appointment we made for you that you never even knew about, guess what? You're still getting sprayed. Hiring temp employees. Besides the low pay and zero respect, there is also the health insurance scams. I had an agency charge me $000 per year automatically for a health insurance package that only covered $000 after my initial upfront costs of $000. In short, I had to pay $000 just to get $000 worth of coverage, which was of course denied, claiming a pre-existing condition. Being hit by a car is pre-existing, apparently. Throwaway. I worked in a non-profit blood laboratory, where we drew blood and separated the components to sell to hospitals. Our machines was outdated. Our protective equipment was lackluster at best, and we were constantly told to increase production despite the lack of staff. Absolutely no concern for our safety, and the exhausting 13-hour shifts we were forced to work. Our normal shift should have been 8 hours. By far our most profitable product was pooled platelets, since there are so many things that can go wrong when trying to separate them from whole blood. In total, including bags, testing, processing, labor, and subsidizing products that didn't make it, the cost to the company was around 0.000 maximum per unit, and since it was a non-profit, that should have been the cost to the hospital, and in turn the receiving patient. However, the company would add costs that weren't incurred, and sell the unit directly to the hospital for between 0.000. So yeah, that would be part of the reason why medical costs can be so insanely expensive. It's not necessarily the hospital's fault. There were a lot more corrupt things about this company, but this is the one that tended to get on my nerves the most, especially since the public face of the organization was entirely about saving lives. Apostrophe. United Way use business leaders to shake down their employees for donations. Most employees would rather just give directly to their favorite charity, but are guilted or forced into giving to United Way. Of course my local United Way puts minorities in high positions, so big corporations can feel they are doing social good, but the SEER and others at AWA are making K+.